Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Coins Numismatic series. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most iconic and beloved coins in American history, the Monticello Jefferson Nickel 5-cent coin. This series of nickels has fascinated collectors for decades, not just for its long-standing design but also for the historical significance behind each year of issue, the intricate details of its artwork, the stories of errors, and the evolving interest among coin enthusiasts. In this special episode, we'll explore the top 3 Monticello Jefferson Nickel 5-cent coins that stand out in the world of numismatics. Our 3 coins today are 1962, 1984, and the 1985 Monticello Jefferson Nickel 5-cent coin. And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly why they deserve a place in any serious collection. Let's begin. 1962 Monticello Jefferson Nickel 5-cent coin. The year is 1962. America was on the cusp of massive social and political change. John F. Kennedy was president, the Cold War was intensifying, and the cultural fabric of the United States was rapidly transforming. Yet, in your pocket, the nickel looked much the same as it had since 1938, the Jefferson nickel, featuring Monticello, the iconic home of Thomas Jefferson, on the reverse. The 1962 Jefferson nickel is one of the classic issues of this design series. The obverse of the coin showcases the left-facing portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the third President of the United States and principal author of the Declaration of Independence. Designed by Felix Schlag, Jefferson's image had been a fixture on the nickel since 1938, and the 1962 version continued that legacy. The inscriptions include, "In God We Trust," to the left, "Liberty," and the year 1962 to the right, and of course, Jefferson's noble profile dominates the coin's surface. The reverse is where the Monticello design comes alive. Monticello, Jefferson's Virginia estate, is displayed in neoclassical elegance, with the inscription E Pluribus Unum above, Monticello centered below the building, and the denomination 5 cents as well as United States of America rounding out the lower portion. It's a design that captures not just architecture, but ideals, Jefferson's Enlightenment-driven vision of America itself. When we talk about mintage, the 1962 Jefferson nickel was produced in large numbers at both the Philadelphia and Denver mints. The Philadelphia mint struck over 97 million nickels, while the Denver mint produced more than 280 million. In total, nearly 380 million coins entered circulation that year. Such a high mintage means the coin isn't rare in circulated condition today, but that doesn't mean it lacks collector appeal. On the contrary, the 1962 nickel is a fascinating study in how condition and subtle variations can create significant differences in value. For collectors, the real treasure lies in high-grade examples. A Jefferson nickel from 1962 in well-circulated condition may only be worth its face value, but in mint state, especially with full steps designation on the reverse, the coin can command strong premiums. The term full steps refers to the clarity of the steps leading up to Monticello. Because of the striking process and wear, it is notoriously difficult to find Jefferson nickels with fully visible steps, especially from the 1960s. A 1962 nickel with full steps in MS 65 or higher can be worth hundreds of dollars. Errors also add to the intrigue of the 1962 issue. Collectors have discovered die clashes, where elements of the obverse design faintly appear on the reverse due to a striking mishap, as well as repunched mint marks and double dies. These error varieties can dramatically increase value, especially when combined with sharp condition. What makes the 1962 nickel particularly appealing to collectors is its place in the broader Jefferson nickel series. It belongs to the pre-1965 silver transition era, a time when U.S. coinage was still relatively traditional before major composition changes shook the numismatic world. While the nickel had always been copper nickel, the surrounding coinage, dimes, quarters, and half dollars, were about to lose their silver in 1965. This gives the 1962 nickel a sense of being the last calm before the storm. Market interest in the 1962 Jefferson nickel remains steady. While it isn't one of the scarcest dates, its availability in high-grade, sharply struck form is limited, making it a popular coin for those building registry sets. Collectors aiming to complete a full run of Jefferson nickels often find themselves seeking out premium examples of this date, especially in full steps condition. For anyone interested in mid-20th century coinage, the 1962 Monticello Jefferson nickel is a cornerstone piece, common enough to be accessible, but challenging enough in top condition to make the hunt exciting. 1984 Monticello Jefferson Nickel 5-cent coin. Fast forward to 1984. Ronald Reagan was president, the Cold War was beginning to thaw, and American culture was moving into the high-tech, globalized era. Despite all this change, one thing remained familiar in the pockets of Americans: the Jefferson nickel. The 1984 Jefferson nickel stands out as part of the long-running Schlag design series, a coin that quietly marked continuity in a nation undergoing rapid transformation. The obverse of the 1984 nickel continued the long tradition of Felix Schlag's Jefferson portrait. By this point, the design had been in use for 46 years, and subtle modifications over the decades had altered some details, but Jefferson's likeness remained dignified and instantly recognizable. "In God We Trust" appears on the left side, Liberty, and the date 1984 to the right, maintaining the balance that collectors have come to expect. The reverse once again features Monticello. Even though it had been depicted on nickels for decades, collectors never tire of examining the fine details of Jefferson's home: the pillars, the dome, and most importantly, the steps. E pluribus unum still graces the top, Monticello anchors the design, and 5 cents, along with United States of America, encircle the bottom. By 1984, the Jefferson nickel was one of the longest-running unchanged designs in U.S. coinage history. In terms of mintage, 1984 was a massive production year. The Philadelphia Mint struck over 1.1 billion nickels, and the Denver Mint produced nearly 1.4 billion, bringing the total to over 2.5 billion coins. This makes the 1984 Jefferson nickel extremely common in circulation. Because of this, most examples hold little more than face value unless they are preserved in pristine condition. However, for collectors, there's always more than meets the eye. The challenge with the 1984 nickel lies in finding sharply struck examples, particularly those with full steps. Despite the enormous mintage, quality control varied, and most coins suffered from weak strikes, making full steps examples relatively scarce. For registry set collectors, an MS-66 or higher 1984 Jefferson nickel with full steps can bring in a significant premium, sometimes hundreds of dollars, compared to a common circulated piece worth 5 cents. Errors also play an exciting role for 1984 nickels. Double die obverse and reverses, repunched mint marks, and off-center strikes are known to exist. Some of the most dramatic errors include broad strikes and die cracks that give the coin a unique appearance. While error coins from this year aren't exceedingly rare, they're certainly desirable, especially among collectors who specialize in modern error coinage. The market value for standard 1984 nickels is generally modest. Circulated examples are only worth face value, while uncirculated rolls may fetch a small premium. But high-grade certified examples with full steps are a different story. The difficulty in finding perfectly struck coins from this period has made them a target for collectors chasing top population registry set coins. Collector interest in the 1984 Jefferson nickel lies not only in its potential for high-grade rarity but also in its symbolic role as a coin of the 1980s. It was part of daily life for millions of Americans, circulating heavily during a time of economic expansion, technological advancement, and cultural change. Today, it represents not just money, but a tangible link to an era when the United States was redefining its place on the global stage. For those who love the story behind the coin as much as the coin itself, the 1984 Jefferson nickel is a fascinating study in abundance, subtle rarity, and cultural context. 1985 D. Monticello Jefferson nickel 5-cent coin. Now let's move to the 1985 D. Jefferson nickel, another fascinating entry in this series. By 1985, the Reagan era was in full swing, and America was booming with optimism and innovation. The Denver Mint, identified by its D. Mint mark, produced a massive number of Jefferson nickels this year, but as we'll see, quantity doesn't always mean quality, or lack of collector intrigue. The obverse design remains the classic Schlag portrait of Jefferson. Nearly 5 decades after its introduction, the portrait still carried an air of authority and continuity. The inscriptions, "In God We Trust," "Liberty," and the year 1985 are present, with the small but important D mint mark marking its place of production. For collectors, that D becomes an identifying feature that separates it from its Philadelphia counterpart. The reverse again presents Monticello, standing tall as Jefferson's enduring architectural legacy. The steps, the pillars, the dome, all the elements are there, along with E pluribus unum at the top, Monticello at the center, and 5 cents and United States of America, completing the design. By this point in the 1980s, the Schlag reverse was one of the most familiar images in American coinage. Mintage numbers for the 1985 D nickel are staggering. The Denver Mint struck over 540 million coins. While this isn't as high as the combined mintage of 1984, it still means that the 1985 D is a very common coin in circulation. However, like its predecessors, the value lies not in ordinary circulated pieces but in those rare high-quality strikes. Circulated 1985 D nickels are generally only worth face value, but in uncirculated condition, especially with the elusive full steps designation, their value can rise dramatically. MS-65 full steps examples are sought after and can be worth well over $100 depending on market demand. The challenge of finding such coins keeps collectors hunting, as weak strikes and bag marks are common among Denver issues of this period. Error coins add another layer of excitement. The 1985 D nickel is known for die cracks, off-center strikes, and other minting anomalies. A particularly well-documented error is the misaligned die strike, which gives the coin a distinct off-kilter look that fascinates error collectors. These pieces can command premiums many times higher than standard coins. Collector interest in the 1985 D is strong among Jefferson specialists. While not considered a rare date overall, it offers just enough challenge in the higher grades to make it an attractive coin for registry sets. Its value lies in the difficulty of obtaining sharp strikes, and the Denver Mint issues of the 1980s are notorious for their quality inconsistencies. From a historical perspective, the 1985 D nickel also represents a time in American coinage when designs were largely stable. Unlike the quarters and dollar coins of the late 20th century, which saw frequent changes, the Jefferson nickel remained constant, linking generations together through a familiar design. For collectors today, the 1985 D is a reminder of both continuity and the thrill of seeking perfection in an ocean of abundance. And there you have it, the top 3 Monticello Jefferson nickel 5-cent coins, the 1962, the 1984, and the 1985 D. Each coin tells a story, not just through its design, but through its history, its rarity and condition, and its place in the broader tapestry of American numismatics. Whether you're hunting for full steps, error varieties, or just a nostalgic piece of the past, these coins offer something for every collector.